Welcome y'all to Power You Notice. So look, man, I'm super excited about this one. Like this is big not only for my platform, but this is big for the entire city. So this beautiful lady we have next to me, I'm going to say a little bit. I'm gonna introduce her, and you're gonna see the lengthy stuff that this woman has done in this city. So let's start off by saying, so she was working with the sheriff department in 1989. She did that for a few years, left there, became a police recruit for NOPD. After the police recruit, she became a task force officer in the 7th district. From there, she became a detective of child abuse. After child abuse, it was a sergeant of the 2nd district, then a sergeant in the 1st district. And then not only she was doing her police thing, she started as an instructor with Delgado. Kept going, keep going. A sergeant of child abuse, 6th district sergeant, 3rd district sergeant. She was a sergeant / commander of the communications division, lieutenant of the 7th district, lieutenant of the 2nd district, lieutenant of administrative duties, lieutenant of the 1st district. Then she became a captain of the management services bureau, and then became interim police chief. I mean, the introduction is there. Everybody knows who she is. This is Chief Michelle Woodfork.
Good morning. How are you?
That was a lot.
Yeah, it was a long, a long journey.
Long journey. First of all, thank you.
You're welcome.
Right. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on to this platform. Thank you for the community is really asking for this. Right. They really want to hear from you. They really want your opinion on different things. And when we talked briefly, I was like, how can we make this different? Like, how can we give people with no voice a voice?
Right.
Right. And these deputies, the questions that I'm going to read came from sheriff deputies, not from me, not from current ones. I wanted the people to be there, to be the ones to ask the questions. So we had about 3 pages worth of questions. I know you're a busy woman, so we're not going to go that far, but the most important ones we have, and that's what we're going to go with. But first, background, digital background platform. What are you kind of running on?
I know that at Empower, this is where everybody gets their news. They come, they want the real news.
Absolutely.
The details, what's going, you always getting them calls, from everywhere. And so I'm a fan and I follow myself. So
I appreciate it.
I thought that this would be a great opportunity for those who do not have the opportunity to ask questions because they are currently employed with the agency. It'd be a great way to answer some of their questions. And I know when people think that the tide may change or whatever, they get worried. And so I think it's a great opportunity to reassure them that everything will be fine.
Okay, so basically, like, do you have like a saying, a quote, or like what are you running on? Like, what is your platform for running for a sheriff? Like, do you have a
my message? Absolute message is public safety.
Public safety.
Why am I doing this? Because in the interest of public safety. That's all I've done my whole life. Is work in the criminal justice system, law enforcement, and it's my passion. That's what I want to continue on that journey to make New Orleans the safest city possible. So we can shine like we're supposed to.
And we've been doing that, since you've been there. When you was there, working. Crime has decreased every year since then. Like every month, like you can see the crime decreasing. And it started with you.
Right. When I was first appointed, I knew we had to do something to make a change. So I implemented my strategic plan, which encompassed partnering with local, state, and federal partners, recruitment effort, technology, and definitely consent decree compliance. We put those efforts in play, and crime went down slowly at first, but we got to 25% down, 25% in violent crime. Excuse me. And also we lowered carjackings 45%, increased NOPD recruitment by 300%.
That's crazy.
The previous year, in 2022, the department had only managed to hire either 23 or 28 people, I forget.
That's it.
And when I was there in 2023 as a superintendent under my leadership and with my team, because I couldn't do anything without the team.
For sure.
We hired 105 new police officers, and that's not even meant to mention the ones who returned, who had resigned at some point
Mm-hmm.
and wanted to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was really the work of our recruitment department. I sat down with them, say,
Awesome.
hey, we have to get this done. And so we had a really a tough requirement criteria for hiring because we want to only hire the best of the best.
That's
and it worked out for us. We also hired about 104 civilian employees too, and so that's how that got started. So I think we touched everything that we're supposed to. Consent decree compliance. They are currently now in the 2-year sustainment period.
Yes.
And it was because of the work of the Chief Gernon and his team in PSAB and us sitting down talking, hey, we're going through this consent decree. Let's see what we're not compliant in. And we're going paragraph by paragraph to make sure that we get with the Department of Justice and the federal monitors to make sure we get this done. And I could not be more proud. Now I think their numbers are, I go to their GRIP meeting every week, and they're down probably like 50%, or something, something close to that. And so they're still following the plan that was put in place in 2023 by me and my team, and it's being successful. Of course, the current superintendent added some little things in that she wanted to add in, and so, which is great. It can always be enhanced. Anything that could continue that downward spiral with crime, hey, I'm all for it. So I think they're doing a great job, and I'm proud of the work that we did.
That's awesome. Well, we appreciate you for sure. So the deputy's question. So the first question is, are you when you come in to the sheriff department, are you going to only focus on inmates' needs? That's what a question from a sheriff deputy.
As sheriff, I'm going to focus on the needs of the entire agency. We're going to do everything to maintain the safety for deputies, inmates, and staff. I think that it's important that we make sure we touch everything inside the agency. When I first go in, I'm going to assess everything and see where we can improve, where things need to be changed, and be fair about it too when making those changes. So I'm going in and address everything. I'm not just going to focus just on inmates or just on deputies. We're going to look at consent decree compliance, salary increases for deputies, more training, better promotional processes, just different things like that, because I've heard that there are, some issues with all of those things.
All of them.
And so I think that you have to address everything going in.
Yeah, those are big concerns. Those
once
training, salary, the things that you mentioned.
Yeah, day one, I'm assessing. I'm going to be there assessing everything. And it's going to take some time to go through the entire agency to assess everything. But definitely every issue will be addressed.
So the next question, because we're going to keep going into it. Will you have an open door policy? Something that deputies kind of reached out and said in the beginning, there was an open door policy for the person that's there, but now it's not. So they just want to get that clear. Like, will you have a open door policy for them to come speak to you or talk to you? Or how would that look or work?
I absolutely believe that communication is key in any large agency. And so as I did as the NOPD superintendent, I will have an open door policy to allow anyone, staff, to come in, deputies come in and talk about some ideas that they may have that will enhance the agency, or just some issues that they are having that they may want to discuss. I think it boosts morale when people feel that they have a voice. And the entire staff, the deputies, everybody deserves to have a voice inside the agency, and they should be heard. And so I had an open door policy when I was interim superintendent, and I will have an open door policy as a sheriff.
Yeah, I think that's important, like you said, just for them to voice their concerns. They're there every day, right? They're the ones that's on these tiers or on in the field. They know a kind of figure kind of what's wrong, what's going on with their part of their department, and what's going right, and listening to them, I think, is super, super important.
And I think good leaders and good management not only manage and give instructions to people that they are managing, they listen to them. And so I think it's absolutely paramount that they have a voice and they're heard.
Okay, I appreciate that. So the next question is, will you make it fair for deputies to move in other positions? So I think with this question, they was concerned, about being stuck in a position or not having the right uh, progress. Like how do you progress? Like what do I need to do? Do I have to have 5 years to go to this department? Do I, I don't think it's clear cut when it comes down to deputies being moved in other positions. But how do you feel about?
Well, again, on day one, I'm going in and do a total assessment, right? And if there I believe in putting I don't believe in putting square pegs in round holes. I believe in putting people in positions where they have the knowledge, skills, and abilities to operate within those positions, and so they can thrive and the actual agency can thrive. And so I'm going to assess what their transfer policy is,
right?
And I think it should be based on training. It should be based on knowledge, skills, and abilities. Can you do that job that you're requesting to be transferred to? So I think it's real important to do an assessment of the policies and procedures on transferring someone into a position. And if there is no transfer policy, then we have to create one. Gotcha. To make it fair and equitable for everybody.
Yeah. That's a big one that people want to, people want to move and progress and just be better and
well,
like
I think it's only fair that everyone inside the agency has the opportunity for upward mobility. If you're there 5, 10, 15 years, I don't think you should be stuck at a certain level, a certain rank. You should have the opportunity to grow within inside the agency. That helps keep people still working there. It keeps the turnover rate from the people quitting and resigning. And then it builds morale. If they see some opportunity to grow in the agency, they're more likely to stay.
Opportunity is big. Yes. Opportunity is huge. All right. So next question is, are you going to bring your own administrative people in if you get elected, if you get in, will you bring your own administration?
Well, as sheriff, the day one, I'm going in, I'm going to assess my whole team. Everybody's going to have the opportunity to remain in the position that they're in. But we are going to assess their knowledge, skills, ability, training, what they've done inside the agency. And again, putting square pegs in round holes don't work. You have to put people in positions where they have the knowledge, skills, and abilities, the training that they need to actually execute those jobs. So I think that's thoroughly important. But if and I may, have to promote some people up to positions and even maybe hire additional people who have expertise in particular areas of the agency. So I may hire some people, but not right off. I think every good leader and great leader goes into an agency that's already established with a 30 to 60 day assessment in mind, not moving anything. So you can actually get that 50,000 foot view of exactly what's going on inside the agency, and then you adjust. I don't think you should go in and fire everybody or start replacing people like that. I don't think it's fair, especially people who have been there and have earned those positions that they're in, or those who are looking to move up to other positions, and you just have other people come in, from somewhere else. So I think I'm going to be fair about everything that I do, and I'm going to be transparent about everything that I do.
That gave me chills saying transparency.
And with that saying, and I'm transparent to this point, I think there should be a public dashboard of what is going on inside that agency. You should be able to go on the website and see how many inmates are there, what policies have been put in place. They should have their policies and procedures up for everyone to see. If you go on the city's website today, you can see all the policies and procedures for the New Orleans Police Department. Everyone, the community should know that. Citizens should be able to access that. They were asking about open door policy. I'm also I want to have some citizen input. Things that go on inside the jail and inside, and we don't talk about it. This part of the sheriff's office, the civil side. I don't think people actually know what goes on there or what happens on that side, and the revenue that it garners for the sheriff's department. I also think that a part of that dashboard needs to be budgetary stuff. Where's the money? How is it being spent? I think it's extremely important that because it's taxpayer money that is being used to make the operation work, that people should be privy to what the budget is, what's being spent. Are they being good stewards of taxpayer money? Um, of course, I've been called frugal, cheap, that kind of stuff when it comes to budgetary stuff. But I don't think it's that. I think it's my job and it's my duty to be a good steward of taxpayer money. I don't want to waste it on buying frivolous things or anything like stuff that's not needed. It needs to be used for pay increases, and enhancing the facility, repairs, what have you, buying equipment, buying new technology and stuff like that. So I think is real important.
And something you said, transparency, and that's big for me, especially for my platform, right? Because I want the public to know everything, and it's not any secret that I find out a lot of stuff that goes on inside the jail that's being kept quiet. And to me, my only issue with my platform and putting that information out is I just want everybody to know when their family member has an accident, stabbed, overdoses, these things like that. Sometimes the family don't know, and I have to be the one initially to be like, look, I'm sorry, he was stabbed, he's at the hospital now, and that it wasn't done quick enough, right? And maybe my timeline is different than theirs, which is okay, but critical things like that, I think the community should know.
Well, I don't think people think about when someone goes to jail, right? I don't think they realize the collateral damage that is. If you have 10 people go to jail, probably 1,000 lives are affected.
Absolutely.
The children, the spouses, the parents.
Absolutely.
So I do think it's important that they get that information in real time. But there has to be processes and policies put in place to make sure that happens. Don't know if it goes on now, but as sheriff, that's going to be my thing. They need to know immediately. But hopefully, with increasing the manpower, doing a real robust recruitment effort to get more deputies there, there'll be less violence, more supervision, and different things like that. So it'll cut down on those incidents, or stabbings, or sexual assaults, or anything that's going on inside. So really doing a strong assessment and seeing what needs to be fixed inside the agency will be my first, like from 30 to 90 days, to see what is it that we need to put in place to make this agency function properly, not have the violence, make sure everyone is safe, the inmates, the deputies, the staff, make sure everyone is safe inside there, and training. The training is so important. What level of commission does everybody have? That is everybody trained in corrections? Because I think everyone that works there should be trained in corrections, at least trained in corrections. But even further, that level 1 training where that police officers get, if we're going to be putting people out on the street like we do during Mardi Gras, because you can have what kind of training do we have in use of force? If you put someone out there who does not have a level 1 commission, is not versed on use of force, haven't had any training in use of force, you run the risk of something really bad happening, and lawsuits and death, or anything could happen if you're not properly trained. So all those things I'm going to be assessing all of that to make sure that at least everyone is trained in correction, and I mean everyone across the board, even the staff, civilian employees, everyone should be trained in corrections. It's starting to be best practices. The Bureau of Prisons has started doing that. Everyone from the doctors to the janitor being trained in at least corrections. And so I think that's real important. I think it's smart because, of course, there are manpower issues all over, in law enforcement. And so that was a part of their idea when I researched the Bureau of Prison, that everybody needs to be trained, because you never know when you're going to have to step up and do another job. So I think we should that should definitely be a concern.
Listen, you definitely answered like 5 of my questions already with that. That's great. The next question is, I guess there are some deputies that work in the field, that are doing field operations. They want to know about vehicles, right? They want to know, will they, will you look into that, right? Getting everybody that work in the field a vehicle, like
again, I'm going to look into everything and assess. Definitely go through the budget. If there is there a way, if there's a need for it, of course, I'm going to figure out how we're going to buy new vehicles, assess the conditions of the vehicles and all the assets that they have, the fleet that they have now. You have to do an assessment. You can't just go in and say, yeah, I'm going to buy everybody a new car, because do we have that kind of money in the budget?
Right.
So, but I definitely believe in sometimes you're paying it into a corner into working with what you have, whether it be budgetary items, whether it be assets like the fleet and stuff like that. I'm definitely gonna make it work with what we have, and if we can, definitely if the budget allows, get those vehicles that they need in order to do whether it's serve a subpoena or work some special event that they need on the street. So definitely, it's gonna be part of the assessment, part of looking at the entire agency.
Okay. The next one is, especially we talk about budgets and things like that, is they're asking about, of course, raises. They're asking about money to fix the jail. So they have concerns about safety that's going on in the jail. Doors not be able to close and lock. It's a safety issue for the staff. Sometimes the inmates literally pop out in the middle of the night, and it's supposed to be locked down, but they've jammed the door and things like that to get out. So they're asking for money for themselves. And I like the question because they ask for money to fix the jail as well,
certainly, and both things are very extremely important. I think that the deputies need to be paid more than a living wage. They need to be paid a wage that they can thrive at, and like I said previously, upper mobility inside the agency so their salaries can increase. I think it's extremely important that that is addressed, and that is going to be one of the big things, because I think their salary should be comparable to other sheriff's departments in the area, and also in the state. In the metro area, and also in the state. And I don't think it's to that level. I've looked at it and I was like, wow. So yes, there needs to be a plan put in place once that's assessed, and getting pay raises and increases in salary for those employees, and also the repairs. I do believe that there needs to be some policies and procedures in place when something is broken. It needs to be addressed in a timely manner, and therefore you have to have the staff to address that. So I think that's important, to hire that staff that's going to come in and make those repairs to a cell door, or go into more newer technology.
For sure.
Things like that, make it scanners and different things like that, to make sure that safety is a priority for the deputies, the inmates, and the staff. You have to make sure all those things are functioning properly. And you can't call me today and say, hey, a door is broke, and have somebody come 5 months later to fix the door.
Exactly.
That's not, you can't, that's not a way to manage a facility, especially a jail, where people's safety is at risk. And so I think those, there need to be a policy put in place, or a procedure put in place on reporting what's broken, and it be fixed in a timely manner.
Yeah, reported, documented, and then fixed. All right. I love that answer as well. So the next question is this: it's about favoritism and sexual harassment. So the question is, how do you stop the favoritism and sexual harassment as it's been there for years? That's what some deputies and staff are saying. So how can you stop it, I guess?
Well, with me, you're going to always be treated fair. I'm always going to be firm but fair. I think everybody deserves to be respected, and we're going to look at what the policy is. What's the policy on sexual harassment? And make sure that we are in line, whatever policy we have in place, that it's in line with state sexual harassment policies, the training that they get, make sure it's in line with the state. We all have to take sexual harassment training once a year. It's an annual training that you have to take. But what can we do to enhance that training? Let people know how important that piece is. And so address those things. But that comes through assessing what is there now, what is in place there right now. But the favoritism thing, I get it. I understand that. As a superintendent, I made it my business to be extremely fair and transparent. So that's what you're gonna get out of me. I'm not, I'm not going to pick my friends
And that's what
and
they're
that
saying.
kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm going to do is put people in positions and in areas where they can actually do a great job, where they can drive, that they can thrive and move up inside the agency. I can't be the sheriff forever. You know, you can, guide someone else to want to even run the agency. I think that's always the goal for me, even as a lieutenant on a police department. You train up the person behind you to take your job. That's the way that, if you're really true to it or whatever, you have to train the people who you're working with. And I think at the end of the day, I remember Chief Kirkpatrick asked me right before I retired. She said, "I want you to give me your best piece of advice before you go." I said, "My advice to you is to treat your people well. Always, always, always treat them well. And treating them well may not always be giving them what they want, but it's being honest with them. It's being fair with them, but always being very transparent. And so I think if you treat the people who work for you and with you well, they'll almost work for you for free."
That's true. And it's funny because you are the example of starting from the bottom all the way to the top, right? like you, yeah. I read the resume. You was just a recruit, right? And it's not like you came in as a lieutenant. You came in, you started from the bottom, and you made it all the way to the top to be superintendent. So I think people should look at that, right? And when you say things like, you want progression from the people that's under you, you are that.
It's important, and I'm just a product of hard work and staying the course, right? Because I did go from the 7th district all the way to the superintendent's office, right? But along the way, I touched many things inside the department. As a captain, I worked in the Management Services Bureau. I got to see the bean counters, counting the cars, the budget, the this, to that, which is great. But on this, I worked the street. I actually went out there, ran, cut behind a couple of people, called under a couple of houses, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So I know that child abuse was a real passion for me. That division was a real passion for me. I loved it. I stayed there a very long time as a detective and as a sergeant because it was near and dear to my heart because it involved kids, right? And so, but then I had the opportunity to move. And sometimes it's hard because we don't like change. People, period, just don't like change. So, but in order to progress inside that agency and in law enforcement, period, you got to be willing to step out and try something new. And I also made it my business to educate myself. When I was in the academy, I was going to night school. I was going to Southern University at New Orleans at night because I not only wanted to do the job, I wanted to know about it. I wanted to have a lot of knowledge about law enforcement. And so I got my first degree in criminal justice with a minor in political science. And then one of my colleagues begged me, "Come on, let's go back and get our master's degree." I didn't want to do it. I was like,
listen, I ain't go back.
I was like, I don't want to go back. I don't want to do it. But she encouraged me to go back, and I did. And I got my master's degree in criminal justice with a concentration in law enforcement. And I think it just enhanced my career. It helped me to want to learn more about NOPD and about law enforcement, period. So you have to put the work into yourself. You have to invest in yourself. And if you invest in yourself, keep your head down, work hard, you can go from the 7th district to the superintendent's office and sheriff's department.
I just, that's going to mean a lot to a lot of people. So will you encourage schooling with the sheriff department? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. At NOPD, well, even at the sheriff's department, they put me in a job where I could actually attend school at night because I started at the sheriff people don't know this. A lot of people don't know. I started at the sheriff's department in 1989, and I worked in the courts because I was going to school at night, and so they put me there. So I was able, when I got off at 5, I could go to school at 6. So I think that's a help. I think probably now we could do a little bit better than that. At NOPD, the New Orleans Police and Justice Foundation will give you money towards your tuition to go to school. So awesome. I think that we could come up with that if people are really interested in going to college and earning their degree in criminal justice or what have you. So I think it's real important to educate yourself.
Yeah, that's great. So we coming down to the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of questions you kind of answered already.
Mm-hmm.
So this question is about what's your thoughts about training, right? Training your staff about handling conflict resolution
Mm-hmm.
with staff and with inmates. So what's your thoughts on training? And you kind of mentioned it already, but you could.
Right. You can never have too much training. You never have enough training because in just in life, you learn till you die. And so I think it's very important in law enforcement, especially in this agency, you have to have people who are properly trained. And I mean, let's talk about mental health issues. You need to be need to have people deputies trained in crisis intervention. And not just a little small version, enhanced version, especially with phase 3 coming in into play. And that whole facility is going to have to be manned by deputies. I think they should have some really good training, some enhanced training in crisis intervention and handling people who suffer from mental illness. It's important
Because we have a lot of that inside of the jail.
Absolutely. And then there's other training that can be offered. Things that help the facility function better. It needs to be as much training as you can possibly get. I recommend. I signed off probably on a bunch of training as a superintendent. I really didn't like to say no to training. If somebody wants to learn about something or enhance whatever they know about a particular subject when it comes to law enforcement, I think they should be given the opportunity if it's within the budget, the budget constraints. And a lot of those trainings are offered for free. So or there's some entity that'll give a scholarship to go to a training. I think it lends to the agency being more professional, more up to date on different policies and different things like that when you enhance your training.
And public safety, right?
Right.
If they're more trained,
Absolutely.
when they have to address me, on the street,
Mm-hmm.
they'll know how to handle me in a proper way. Even if I'm going through a mental crisis, or if I'm doing something, like,
Correct.
they'll be able to handle me in a proper way.
Absolutely. I think it's paramount. You have to, with the current situation with mental illness right now. There are a lot of people who are incarcerated that are just really, they're in there because of the circumstance that they are suffering from mental illness. So that has to be addressed. You have to address the mental health issue going on while they are in there. Get them the care that they need. So when they are going back out the door, you can get them with a local nonprofit that can assist them while they're on the outside. So you have to address they won't be coming back. You have to address mental illness. So I think it's really important. But of course, your staff, the deputies, everyone has to be trained to handle those with mental health challenges. I believe that.
Yeah, no. I 100% agree, and I think that's what the deputies want. I think they're wanting better training.
I think that's what they deserve.
Yeah,
I think it's what they deserve because, again, you go back to the safety issue. If they had been better trained, would they've been hurt or got into this issue or got into something with something. I think training is key, is paramount. You have to have a better trained officer makes a better trained facility.
For sure, I agree. Last question. I know you're a busy woman. Last one. All right. The question is, since you're coming from NOPD, a lot of people want to be, have a patrol division, right? You are the perfect liaison for that, right? You came from that, and now you're here. So how do you feel about starting one, or how do you feel about, potentially having something with NOPD with the sheriff?
I think it's a great idea, and my hope is that once the sheriff's department is properly staffed, properly functioned in a sustainment period with the federal consent decree, once everything is addressed inside the agency itself, then you can open the door to an opportunity to have a field division. I think it's definitely possible, but you have to increase your manpower, have to make sure each facility, and I'm not just talking about jail, have to make sure the courts are secure, have to make civil and criminal, make sure all that is secure. Everything has to be addressed inside the agency itself before we can look out and start a whole patrol division. They could possibly do traffic initially, and then partner with NOPD to work on something different. But I think it's definitely doable if the agency is fully staffed and functioning properly. You can definitely open the door to a patrol.
And I always say that keep the main thing,
Yeah.
initially, right? That's your baby.
Yeah.
The courts, the the jail. That's the
Right.
bread
The
and butter,
sheriff is
right?
mandated by law the care, custody, and control of the jail. So
Yeah.
you have to. That has to be your priority. And I think it just will bloom if you have the right staffing there. Everything, all the issues are addressed inside the jail. Then you can open the door up and to look into a patrol division.
Well, listen, I appreciate your time. The call is over, right? The call we just got, but it's over now. I appreciate you coming on, and good luck on everything moving forward.
Thank you. Have me back anytime. I'm more than happy to come back, and I appreciate Empower You NOLA because, like I said, it's where people get their news. We get all the information, all the details that we may not get in a news story or in a newspaper and stuff like that. So, and it's just real, real people talking. So, and I love that they trust you and call you with all the information. I'm like, I look at it sometimes like, Jason there before the police. I mean, Justin's there before the police. Wow. So yeah.
Half of the times I gotta tell them, please call the police.
Yeah.
Like, I know you calling me, but can you call 911, please?
Yeah.
But thank you so much again.
Thank you.